Well, hello, YouTube, and a warm welcome to the Essentially Crypto channel. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm your host. And today we've got something very, very special. We've got the man himself. He's coming in from Ecomi, and he's going to give us all the lowdown on what's coming up, and some secret snippets and well, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to say, but we've got loads of questions to ask him from you from Twitter. So if you are in the room, if you have just joined us, make sure you say hello, so that way we know that people are in the room. All we see is this chat down the side here, just so you know. So if you do have any questions, then feel free to put those in the chat. Okay, so that's all you need to do. You can pop those in the chat, and if we see them as they're going by, then obviously we will add those questions to Rhys as well, so that way we can get into it. But hopefully you can hear me. I can see people coming into the room. There's obviously a slight delay, so turn up. As in turn my microphone up. Is that what you're saying? So I see some people saying turn up, but I'm not sure if that's because they want me to turn the microphone up or whether that's because of the fact that they can they're just saying they're turning up. So let me know if my mic's okay. I've already done a test with Rhys and everything, and his mic's fine. So hopefully everyone will be able to hear us nice and clearly. When season 4 starts, okay, there's a question already. There you go. Okay, in which case then we're getting a few people coming in, so obviously there's going to be a few stragglers. We had the whole drop coming up and all that sort of stuff as well today, so therefore, but we're going to and also not everybody knows my channel, so therefore hopefully they're going to find out. I guess Rhys will maybe do a retweet of it as well. I've done a retweet on Twitter, so if anyone else out there wants to do a retweet, then feel free to do that as well. But anyway, I think it's time to bring in the man himself, to be honest with you, and we're going to get the conversation going. And anyone else that joins in, as I said, you can put your questions in the chat as well. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. It is Mr. Rhys Skellern. He is the, well, how should we put this? The, what's the name of those things? The little neg ferrets. He is the neg ferret annihilator, I think is the best way to put it. So therefore, please welcome him to the little stream. Here we go. Come on in, Rhys, and say hello to everybody.
Hey fam, I think that's the best title I've been given to date.
The neck ferret annihilator. Yeah, I was trying to think of a nice way of putting it, but yeah, I think that's pretty much the title that sort of suits, isn't it? Really, because you take you take all the neck ferrets and just try and get rid of as many as. I'm getting rid of all my Star Wars stuff already. I'm knocking all the set over. So, but yes. Anyway, right. So that everybody knows, because there's been a lot of FUD on these things. You know, obviously, why wouldn't there be? And one of the things that people were saying on Twitter, because I put out a thing saying anybody who's got any questions for Rhys, then feel free to pop them in the chat and I'll ask him. So I've got quite a lot of questions from everyone. And as I said, if anyone's got any questions in the chat and I do see them, then of course I will, answer these questions. Now, here's the thing. I said to Rhys, I said, are there any questions that you don't want me to ask? Because the FUD surrounding this was, oh, maybe YouTubers are not allowed to ask certain questions or something like that and blah, blah, blah. But he basically answered and said that he'll answer anything you like, anything at all. And if he doesn't like it, he just won't answer it. Simple as that. So, so you can't really say fairer than that. So with that all in mind then, Asian Dan would like to know, this is the question that's on everybody's lips, to be honest. It's the number one question that every single person in the world of Ecomi and Veve want to know, and that is, what is your dating life like since being a Veve celebrity globetrotter?
I was on the up and up, but no, I actually have a girlfriend. Sorry for the bad, everyone. I have a partner who I live with here in Canada.
There you go.
So my dating life is non-existent, but my relationship life, on point. On point.
Awesome. That's what we like to hear. I don't know why he asked that question. You know, maybe it was. But anyway, that's enough of the silly questions. So let's get into some of the stuff, shall we? So let's go for some of the latest news, I guess, is probably the best way to go. And as I said, if you've got any questions in the chat, then feel free to. Actually, yeah, Ecto 1, that's one of them. When will Ecto 1 be drivable? Somebody's asking. So maybe we can answer that one a little bit later on. But latest news, I guess. Now the first thing, I guess, to talk about is the Jurassic Park thing. Because it's fantastic news, obviously, using the promo code for the cinema tickets or for getting the NFT for the cinema tickets. But I noticed a lot of people got rugged when trying to sort it out, because some people were buying the wrong cinema ticket. Some people were buying the tickets and not getting an email saying they were allowed to go or whatever, or get the NFT, but they were allowed to go and see the movie. And what I wanted to know really is, like, do you have to actually physically go to the movie and scan the ticket in order to be able to get the NFT? Or will there be like a separate drop for Jurassic Park as well for other people who can't do that? Or what's the situation there?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is going to be one of the first Jurassic Park releases. And it's not going to be the only sort of promotion we do around the film and obviously around the brand, because it is such a massive license to bring on board, or a massive property. When it comes to the actual viewing of the movies, I'm not 100%, but I don't think you have to actually go. Now, I'd expect AMC to release some more news on that closer to the actual film.
Because someone was saying you have to scan the ticket in. So if you have to scan the ticket, that infers you have to go, obviously. So therefore, like, I was thinking there's no point in me buying it because obviously I can't go because I'm in Spain. So
and it kind of defeats the purpose of the promo, right? Like, it's designed to get you into the movies and to enjoy the thing. You know, obviously everyone in NFTs will find any loophole that they can to try and get an NFT. But I mean, it's probably worth mentioning at this point that, you know, this kind of promotion is designed for a high volume NFT, right? So if people are expecting these to be really scarce items, that's not really the intention behind it. These sort of promotions are to promote the film, obviously, but also to bring people into the app. So look, while it might be great to get this NFT, I would suggest people that actually enjoy the property and enjoy the brand to utilize it properly. Yeah, and I think we'll find out closer to the release as to whether you actually have to scan it or not. But I do believe that the NFT, the redeemable codes, are going out via email on a certain date. So I don't think you have to watch the movie. But
okay, so I guess it's just really talk to AMC and find out what the situation is there. So bearing that in mind, then, because obviously we're starting to see that not everybody can get the drops. Then in that case, if like maybe I can or maybe I can't, we don't know. But is that going to be a theme coming up? Like, I remember once you said like there would be something where you can get something signed if you went to, say, Decon, for example. So what I'm wondering is that coming like soon, next Decon, for instance, or is that something that's way down the line?
I wish it was. I mean, we were talking about it last Decon, but just these other features have really taken priority. So honestly, I actually haven't heard anything about the digital signature thing for a while yet. Definitely still part of the feature rollout because, you know, it's such a core part of the collector community. But whether it will be available at our very next event, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, I thought I'd try and get a little bit of extra information if we can. But
I do like this because I mean, we do have a lot of things coming up with Decon, obviously with the London and Anaheim events, and anything we can really do to continue to bring the physical world of collecting into the digital space, I think is imperative to ongoing adoption.
Of course.
Yeah.
I guess the idea is to get, like you said, get people to go to those things. So when you go to a company, you can say, hey, we can get this amount of people in. And at the end of the day, that's the traffic, isn't it? So even though it's maybe not fair for the people who don't live around the area, it's great because it's a promotional item that the company can use to, you know, like basically boost their...
I mean, it's incentivizing people to go to the event too, right? Which is part of the point of that cross promotion, right? We were the lead sponsor at Decon last year, or the only NFT sponsor. I imagine this year will be much the same. So it's not just, you know, those sponsorships aren't just for us to sell collectibles. They're to try and bring more people into the events and into the app. So, you know, it's got to go both ways. But then, you know, that's the whole point of the secondary market too, right? I understand that if you don't live in that area, maybe you can't go to the event, but there will always be those collectibles traded on the market if people want them. So, you know, anyone can get their hands on any collectible on the platform, even if they were geofenced to start with or something like that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like the Chinese ones at the start, obviously lots of people managed to get their hands on them, even though they weren't actually available. Is it Cartoon Network, wasn't it? Is that all?
Cartoon Network, one of the very first gates, you know, it was like Chinese gate or something. I don't know what people called it, but, you know, there was the early days of VeVe. If you didn't know someone in China, people were trying to sell Chinese KYC accounts and registered accounts and things like that.
Remember that? Yep.
Yeah.
I contacted my friend in Singapore. Yeah, Singapore, and I was like, "Can you get them?" And she's like, "No." And she didn't care either. Like, I was like, "Can you get them?" And she's just like, "No, sorry." You know, like the family just don't understand it, do they? They don't understand the collecting and the fact that you can actually, you know, you want to get these things. They just like, "Oh no, I can't get that."
They understand we're all crazy, but they don't get the
idea. Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah. So, okay, cool. So I guess that's the that's that bit. Another big piece of news, obviously, is the Ecomi Bridge. That is now live.
That is.
So that is So, oh, you tested it and it's all
It works
its
fine.
thing?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. I haven't tested it myself because my stuff is actually on the VeVe app.
Right.
But what else? So it's getting it onto the VeVe app and taking it off the VeVe app, correct?
Yeah. So it's actually really it's a new interface that uses the existing IMX bridge, right? Because you could bridge. You could at least withdraw through the IMX marketplace. And you could deposit to layer 2, but what was missing was the ability to send ERC20 between wallets, right? So you could deposit to layer 2, but you couldn't send that to your VeVe app. And then you couldn't send tokens from your VeVe app wallet to somebody else's Omi wallet or things like that. Like there was a bit of a link missing. Okay. So now you can deposit to layer 2, send to your VeVe app, withdraw from your VeVe app back to your MetaMask, and then withdraw back to layer 1 if that's what you choose to do. Now, I say this to a lot of people, but I like to reiterate it that this really is only a short-term issue, and it's not an issue, right? It's been solved. But a lot of exchanges are starting to onboard directly to layer 2 now. I think Binance has integrated directly to Arbitrum. I won't be surprised to see Coinbase integrate directly to Immutable because they back the project. So, I would expect that maybe 12 months from now, the need to bridge and to move between layer 1 and layer 2 will be obsolete. Most of you will just live straight on layer 2. And it makes it easier that way, right? You can already buy ETH and USDC and things directly on layer 2. Directly onto Immutable, at which point, you really wouldn't need to go back and forth to layer 1. So it will become obsolete eventually, but in the meantime, amazing news. Lets people use their tokens as they wish. You can now, a lot of people swap their tokens in the VeVe app for the migration, but maybe you want to use them in Epico Regal or in one of these other games that will start using Omi tokens, at which point you would kind of need to bridge back to layer 1 and then across.
I saw something about that goes on Polygon or something as well. So is that a different thing entirely? That's a different bridge, and then you go to there, so you pay a gas fee to go to that one as well, or?
Correct. Right. Yeah, there'll be a gas fee to go there, and you'll need some Matic on, like in your MetaMask or in your wallet over there to be able to transact. But Matic, the transaction fees are significantly cheaper than on Ethereum.
Tiny. Yeah, of course.
And I think it's important for people to understand that once you deposit to layer 2, any sort of layer 2, like you don't have to come back. Right? The only reason you have to come back right now for Omi is if you wanted to sell it, because the only exchanges we're on are offering layer 1.
Right.
If you're waiting to use it in the app or you want to use it somewhere else, you don't need to bridge back. So you only pay that gas fee once or twice if you're testing properly. And then you don't need to come back at all. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess there goes my next question, and that is is there a reason coming that we need to have our Omi on the VeVe app at the moment, or is that still a long way off?
The same reasons that we're already aware of, right? Obviously, being able to use the tokens in the app. I think at this point, so it will all make a lot more sense when we actually release the sort of updated OUP. Right. I think the lowest hanging fruit or the easiest integration there will probably be Omi to NFT.
So that's going to be the first one. Is it someone made me ask that on Twitter? They're like, is that the first stage?
I think the community will literally hunt me down with pitchforks if it's not the first one. I think it's also like one of the most crucial and important integrations to have in there. So I think I need to confirm with the devs as to how long they expect each rollout to take. But that makes the most sense to me, to be the first one to roll out, and then around that we can really implement the staking and things like that, because those systems really are, in the newer version, much more complex than they were before. So I think we're all aware that crucially we need to get Omi in the app from a usability standpoint, but also to start marketing on that side as well. Using the non-crypto.
I seem to have lost you there. I'm not sure if it's me that's lost or whether it's you that's lost. I'm guessing it's me more than likely. Hold on. I might have lost my connection. So just bear with me a second here. I'm just going to check. Hopefully I can come back in.
Hey.
Hello. Oh.
Oh.
Hello. Was it you that got lost, or was it me that got lost?
I think I got rugged.
Oh, okay, right. I literally pulled out my connection and plugged it back in. I'm sitting there going, "Is it me? Is it me?" I couldn't tell. So.
I'll blame you. That's fine.
Can everyone still hear us? Are we still live? I'm not sure, because once I pull out my connection and then put it back in again, so I've no idea on this thing. You know, it's one of those. Hold on, let me just check to see. Are we still live? Somebody say something to let us know that we're still live. I think
we are. It looks like we are. As long as it's streaming.
Yeah. I think as long as it's streaming, then we should be good. So anyway, so yes, you were saying.
Oh, I just gave away so many announcements there. I hope everybody caught them.
Yeah, we missed everything, literally. Like, all that good stuff we just lost. I heard some of them, so I'll tell you in later videos. You just have to tune in. So anyway, we've got obviously all the stuff that you talked about in the OUP. Somebody asked specifically when the OUP comes out. Obviously there was an article about it. So the next article is like the finished thing, and then is it rolling out all in one go, or is it rolling out in stages as we go?
It'll definitely be in stages. Be in stages. At the moment, we're really onboarding a lot of new developers, some of whom will become dedicated token developers, basically, or more for the OMI integration, side of things. So no, basically we'll have the OUP come out alongside this tokenomic refresher that we've kind of been talking about. We'll make, and I'm still going to go for community feedback, right? That's still going to be crucial to what we're doing there to make sure that we are hitting the mark. But for the most part, this will be the finalized version. We may just tweak some of the numbers and things like that. And then the first rollout presumably will be OMI to NFT, just to actually get the token into the app. And I would assume that will roll out with a certain staking tiers fee level, right? Like say maybe it's at like staking tier 3. So it's just across the board, very uniform transactions for everybody. And then when staking rolls out, depending on if you want to stake and how much you've staked, everything will kind of split at that level. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the first rollout there in the first iteration. And then,
okay, so it's good because a lot of people, as I said on Twitter, were saying, please be the first thing as OMI to NFT. So I guess that makes people pleased. So is there any, did they say that was like still in Q3 or something? I remember Dan saying, is that correct? Or that's still quite a way off yet though, isn't it?
Yeah, so all of this kind of scoping and confirmation and really legal clearance is taking place now. Gotcha. Trying to get it out as soon as we can, but I don't want to present something and then have to change more of it because of the legalities or the restrictions around it. So we really want to make sure that we can just put it out and move forward from that point. And then OMI to NFT, I think, will be the first thing to roll out. And then,
awesome.
We'll build the rest in. So, look, the full implementation of the OUP may not be until Q1 next year, right? With staking and all the transactions and all the other options and opportunities there. But we'll definitely be rolling out features of the total program leading up to that point, just so that people can start to use those tokens. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. But so as it stands at the moment, if you were to put your stuff in the Veve app, then there's not really much that's going to happen until the end of until third quarter or whatever.
Pretty
essentially.
Much. Yeah.
So exactly. you're literally, if you put it across, then if you want to sell it, you just have to get it back out again. But apart from that, you don't really need to put it across yet, unless you really get the urge. There's nothing coming.
That's correct. That's correct. If you're still holding on layer 1 or in your personal wallets, I mean, you might want to go play Epico Regal for a while in the meantime, right? And try to win those OMI pot prizes, that kind of thing. Then when it's available in the app, you'll bridge and then send it into the app to use it there too. So it's at the moment it's if you're storing your tokens in the app, you're just storing them there. And that's fine too. It's safer than an exchange for sure. But usability wise, it won't be until there's an actual feature in the app. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okie dokie. All right, Taps has got a question here. Will Veve be at Star Wars celebration event in Anaheim end of the month or doing something for it? That was actually I was actually going to ask something about Star Wars now, so I'll mix that in with my question as well. And that is, I don't know if you can say this or not, but obviously we had the comic, which quite a few people got, I believe. So that was pretty cool. So I guess the whole thing about bots are only doing. Bots aren't really gone. They're only waiting until a good one comes out. I guess they didn't think Star Wars was that great. So, maybe that's why we got it. I don't know. But the point is, what I'd like to know is, are there any other Star Wars things that you can talk about that may come out this month, or is that not allowed to say?
I don't know if I can talk about it.
So something's coming. Okay, right, cool. So we've got something coming. We just can't talk about it.
I can get away with this. There was some very interesting language in the first article release of of the comic, the drop release article that goes out.
Yep.
That I think did specifically say we're kicking off the month.
Yes, it did say kicking off, exactly. Yeah. So I think and somebody put up a thing on Twitter as well about all the different days that coincide with Star Wars for this month as well. So I figured there could be other things that go on those days, so to speak.
There could be. There
could be. Okay, we'll leave it at that then. In that case, right? Fair enough. And of course, we got the Obi-Wan release, haven't we? So normally, obviously, you do things in relation to things like Moon Knight. Obviously, that came out with the Moon Knight thing. So maybe something to do with Obi-Wan. But anyway, I digress. Let's move on then in that case. Okay, so anything else on the latest news? No, I think we pretty much covered. Oh no, of course, web platform. Web platform. It's a huge thing. How can we possibly forget the web platform? So obviously it's rolling out now. A lot of users are using it. I still haven't got it. I guess I wasn't one of the privileged few. How did you choose those people, by the way? Is it just random or
completely randomized? I think.
Oh, okay. I was going to say because Omi the Clown doesn't even have it, and I thought that he would be one of the. He was saying on Twitter, he's like, I haven't got it, and I was like, what?
This one, because obviously it's been in our own testing environment for quite a while, but there's no better way to test than to bring in members of the public, right? 20 of us can test something for, and think that we've nailed everything. And then as soon as 500 people or 1,000 people come in, you find all the other bugs, right? It's just the way that the edge cases work. So no, it's completely randomized. The plan is to still continue to bring more in on a rolling basis, which will also be randomized. But that happens, so we release the first sort of beta testing round. Then we take all the bug reports. We try to fix as many of those as we can, or anything that seems more crucial, then we open up to the next batch. So as soon as we kind of, with each batch, there's less and less things to deal with, and then the rollout gets quicker and larger, obviously. But by all reports, I mean, the web platform's working great. For anyone who does have it, I would still suggest participating in drops on your phone. The web platform is obviously still very much in beta. But outside of that, it seems to be working fine. I think the displays look fantastic. Your Omi wallet is now integrated directly into your sort of your profile area as well, from what I've been seeing. So yeah, there's all of those integrations that are new with the web platform too. And eventually, I do think we'll see the user base move primarily to the web.
Yeah, I guess so. The idea with the web platform. See, now here's a bit of a weird one. This, and I don't have to answer this if you don't want to. But Foster Hill, who's one of the Omi community, or you probably know anyway, he did a like a little video, and in that video, he compared the comparison cost of the fact of sort of starting with the web platform, I guess, and starting with having to pay Apple fees for the entire time. Now I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was a huge amount. So what I'm wondering is why didn't you decide to start with the web platform at the same time as the app, so that way it offsets some of the cost instead of just going with the VeVe app in the first place only?
Yeah, I mean, a few points of difference, and really I think that building mobile first has made us as successful as we've kind of been in the last 12 months, 18 months.
I must admit, it is easier, isn't it? I must admit, when there's other platforms out there that are just web based, and it's just hassle. Whereas on your mobile, it's just like dunk and it's done, and it just makes it,
Exactly. You can do it from anywhere, particularly as, we have like a set drop time, but that is different depending on where you are in the world, right? So if you're at work, you can't pull out your computer and do this thing or that. So really, I think the choice to build mobile first was the right one. App Store fees, we were aware of from day one. So yes, it cost us a lot, or, it took a lot of revenue that came in, but it wasn't like it just kind of came out of the blue. We had built a system to account for it. And now the web platform helps to open us up, but it also lets us offer different products, right? I mean, one, to start doing like the auctions, the one-of-one auctions and things like that David Yu has mentioned, we can't really do those in the phone app if you're limited to 300 gems per day, plus fees, plus whatever, right? It doesn't really do justice to the work or to the artist. So rolling it out this way isn't just part of the product rollout, it assists in rolling out new types of products, which frankly, I don't think there was really a market for 12 months ago when we launched. It would have just been a bit of a waste on resources based on the size of our dev team as well, and the funds we had raised to really kick things off. So I think that's the logic behind it. now we're at a point where we can roll out the web platform with all of the things that we've learned so far too, right? And it's the same when other platforms launch after ours. They've obviously learned things from us. Now we've seen them launch web first. We can learn things from them. So it's I think it's been a very effective way to roll out this product.
Yeah, it's definitely, as I said, definitely find it easier to use and all that kind of thing anyway. So that's kind of cool. Anything else on the Artist Alley thing? Actually, I did forget one big thing, which I'll get to in a second. But the Artist Alley, and that is a long while back, we did some videos. Different YouTubers did some videos, and there was a thing that basically said some of the people that could be as artists on the thing, and then that got removed. So therefore, you couldn't find it anymore. And then the other day, we happened to see something in the background of David Yu's thing. Now, most of the stuff that's in the background seems to come true. So one of them was the guy throwing the flowers. So yeah, I don't know if you mentioned, I don't know if you noticed it or not. I don't know, in the back of his thing. So is that we had who is it? We had Andy Warhol and we had Banksy. And these were the ones that got removed. So I'm not going to ask you if they're coming, but what I'd like to know is when you remove these things, is it because it may jeopardize future deals? Or is it just because of the fact that, you know, someone does a video on it and you think like, quick, get rid of that because they know what's coming?
No, that one in particular was from an article I wrote in early 2018, right? And no one knew what an NFT was. No one cared. No one was, we were trying to drum up some fundraising and support and community and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the box you're specifically referring to was taken from, I think it was our original white paper, maybe. But really, they were
a Medium article because then it was edited afterwards.
It was a Medium article, but I pulled it from somewhere else, and it was basically a look at some of the brands that David Yu has already worked with his company and things like that, and trying to paint the picture of like what kind of categories we could see and what sort of brands would fit within that category. Now, rather conveniently, a lot of those brands have now been featured on VeVeVerse. When I originally removed it, I removed it because it was causing a bit too much speculation. It wasn't really threatening the potential of acquiring these licenses. But of course, people didn't read the article. They just took the,
yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, when we're looking for something for content, we just go like, oh wait, what's that? And then like looking back at old whatever, I've done the same myself. And that's one thing I was going to ask actually, and it's nothing really to do with the VeVe side of things or anything, but when there's like sort of speculation or stuff that comes out in the public that maybe shouldn't or well, I don't know how to pronounce or to sort of articulate this, but has it ever affected anything that you're working on, I suppose is the best way to put it?
Like if it is purely speculation, which it always kind of is, right? And don't get me wrong, some of that speculation gets put together from a few little breadcrumbs that we put out there. But no, because we've never officially announced anything. We are all under very strict NDAs and all of that. So no, there's never like a genuine information leak from our side.
Gotcha.
There's that speculation. So it's not something that affects it. Don't get me wrong. I sit there and bite my knuckles sometimes when things are like.
That's what I'm saying, because like the thing with Matt Gondek, I did a video on it, and so did a load of other people as well. And I think it was NFT Art or something was the name of the chap who found all the information and did like some really super sleuthing and a lot of his videos. But Matt Gondek contacted me that night via Instagram, and I absolutely pooed myself because I don't have that many views anyway, so I don't have that much of a pull. But the point is that he contacted me directly and said, I'm not working with VeVe, etc., etc. And I thought like, have I just like messed something up here, like royally? And now he's never going to work with them, even if he was going to in the future. And it just worried the hell out of me. So, it's so the speculation videos are okay then to a point. I suppose.
Yeah. If there was anything that did jeopardize something, we would reach out probably and do the same thing. But it's pretty rare that it does, and everybody is entitled to their own opinions, and everybody has their own channels. Like we're not the arbiters of the community space. And frankly, I like watching some of these things and just seeing who guesses what and where we end up. So it's
well, we've got some more talking about that a bit later on. So therefore, and it's one particular person who found something accidentally on stream. Oh no, let's talk about it now. Why not? It was Cavell Anderson the other day. He was on his stream, and he was not his stream. He was on his video, but he was just looking through something for something else, and he came across a thing that said DC Comics. So therefore, is that likely to be removed in a couple of days' time because he's found
Depends
it?
where it was. Depends where it was. I think our original license was with DC Comics, and then they reshuffled, so it's now DC Direct, I think, and DC.
Okay. So it doesn't necessarily mean we've got comics of DC. It just means that it's the company DC Comics. Oh, ruined that. Okay, right.
No.
I'll forget about that then. Boo!
Sorry to pop that bubble. But look, David and Dan have both said that we're obviously working with other comic publishers. Try and really build out that offering as well, right? Like I know that so far it's been all Marvel comics, except for today. Congratulations, anyone who got the Star Wars comic today. So we're definitely looking to build out the comic offering alongside the premium models. We also have just a lot of different types of collectible in there now. You kind of have like the emoji style ones, like the Disney ones we dropped a week or two ago. They're a bit lower end. Comics obviously that are lower priced, right up to your premium like interactive Spider-Man secret rares and those things. Retrospective art, stamps, vehicles. They're really not just adding product types and verticals, but then expanding on each one to try and
of course. I suppose with each one comes new problems as well. Like with comics, then it's like when showroom for comics, and then the next one stamps. When can we put it on a letter and mail it away or whatever? I don't know.
Exactly right.
Each one has its own new thing, I suppose. And speaking of which, let's go with this now, because obviously we got the games thing now. If anyone who watched Taps's interview with you the other week. Which incidentally is one of the reasons I've never sort of asked you for an interview, is because you guys do all the AMAs, you do the things with Tap, you do so much anyway that I thought there's not really much that I can ask you that you haven't really covered. So, hopefully I'm asking you some questions that other people wanted to know that haven't been covered. But, obviously there's going to be a lot of overlaps. But one of the things you spoke about was 3 games specifically. Now, one of them, I think, was announced the other day, which is Epico Regal. For those who don't know, it's kind of like a Clash Royale type game, but it's a play to earn as well. So therefore, you can actually earn, NFTs or tokens or whatever for playing it. The other one, I think, if I'm right, I don't know if we're right or not, but I think is Fish, which is a blockchain thing, which is a great project. If you haven't got into it, you buy a Fish and there's some kind of little fight that they're going to have between them. Now, incidentally, Epico Regal, I believe every time you buy an NFT or something like that, 10% of OMI gets then transferred back to the reserve wallet, which essentially means it's burnt. Is that correct? Correct. Okay. So essentially it's burnt from circulating supply. And then, so that's Epico Regal. And incidentally, if you want to find out more about that, then we've got Kid Rolo. I think he's in the chat there. He does a great channel based around Epico Regal and all that kind of thing. So if you want to get into the game, great channel to go and check out. So check out his channel. And then you got Fish, which is blockchain even. And they're fighting against each other, the Fish in mech suits or something. And 50% of OMI is going to be burnt.
Yeah, I think he's now decided
he's going crazy.
He's not going to take anything from the game. I think 50% is being burnt, and the rest goes into daily OMI prizes and whatever else there too, which he'll release more details, but this is just piecing together from what I've seen him kind of say on Twitter.
Exactly, on Twitter and stuff,
Yeah. So if anyone isn't following him, definitely head over there and check it out. He did do an AMA yesterday where he spoke in a bit more depth about the game and the mech suits and all that stuff too. So definitely go check that out.
You're a fish holder, correct? Oh, fish holder.
I am a fish holder.
Yes, yeah. I'm a fish holder. I only got one. I couldn't afford loads, so I'm not a huge, what's it called, aper into crypto. But I get little bits here and there, I suppose is the best way to put it. So I've got myself one little fish. So he swims around his little tank, and you got a little communicator, and you can talk with him and all that kind of thing. So
just like the portals that so fish could go between tanks. So you just end up with other people's fish in your tank swimming around and. He's really, really pushing the limits of what can be done at the moment.
Definitely.
Blockchain and the law behind it. And such an awesome community, bit of an offshoot of ours from the early days as well. But to see them coming together and rallying behind that project and now also able to use their OMI tokens in that or they will be soon, is just more incentive to continue to grow this beautiful user base and community that we've started with. So yeah, shout out to Bob
and it's a 50% burn. So what can be better than that?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. You know, I mean, we're not naive to the fact that it's taking longer than anyone expected to get Omi into the VeVe app, right? So being able to provide other ways and places to use those tokens on the way there, I think is great. I think it makes it way more fun, you know, and just adds completely new utility in the play to earn space for the token, you know, and that's always been the vision, right? We used to talk about this sort of 12 months ago, 18 months ago, about people always used to hassle me and say, why don't we change the token name to VeVe token?
Everyone says that, yeah.
Right, which would have made sense if VeVe was our only intended use for the token. But you know, we obviously have plenty of other places and spaces we would like to see it, and it just wouldn't make sense to have VeVe token in Features, for example, or in Ecomi Regal. So that way we can really separate the brands and start to build out more on the token side and more on the collectible side while integrating them. Yeah, so just a little note there.
So that's the 2 games. There's another one coming. You don't tell me what one it is, obviously, because we probably released that information. But is it soon or is it way down the line?
I think by the end of the year we'll see that one.
Okay,
cool. Later in
and is it like a big company, or is it just because like obviously Box not a huge company, but then Ecomi Regal is more of a more of a conglomerate doing the game essentially. So is it which side does it fall on? His side or their side?
I would say their side. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Bigger. Yeah, it'd be a bigger
Awesome.
one. They're not really ingratiated in the crypto space at the moment. But don't let that become rampant speculation. It's not,
right.
You know, but we'll release details when they're closer to.
So are they also like, in order to be a part of somebody who does something with Omi, for instance, do you also have to be a licensor on the app, or does it not matter? You can just be anyone who has an idea, and then you can just
anyone who wants to build with the token, integrate it, do anything like that is absolutely free to do so. The token's free and open market. Another reason why we maintain the Omi branding as opposed to VeVe, so that it can sort of run its own race there. I mean, if anyone's watching and does want to use Omi for anything, right? I mean, these kind of deals, like, you know, incentivizing people to use the platform and then burning 10% of the Omi collected. I mean, we can do that for research subscriptions. We can do that for any other type of membership or affiliate program or things like that, right? So it's not just limited to gaming, although that is an easier use case to share with people. So if anyone wants to get involved or maybe see how they could integrate their token, I mean, reach out. We're always here to chat about that, and obviously anything like that helps the fam and helps your own bags. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, there you go. So there you go. If you've got an idea for me, then reach out. I'm assuming there's obviously some sort of process that you'll look at it and go like, what? No. And then
at the moment, technically not, right? I mean, if longer term, I'd love to establish some grants so that we can actually monetize and incentivize people to build these kind of platforms and applications. But no, I mean, you don't need my permission or anyone else's to put Omi in your app. You just make it.
Okay.
The difference is, if I'm aware of it, we can lend a hand in designing if that's what people need. But also then we'll happily share it with the community, right? So you kind of get to bootstrap an early user base to your game or platform. We obviously get more uses for the token, so it becomes quite a symbiotic relationship there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So basically, you can do anything with Omi as long as it's burning. That's all we care about.
Yeah.
So
Right into our ecosystem, we'll help you promote it. I mean, that's kind of where my head's at. So
I guess it makes sense because you've got the user base already. So therefore, anyone that wants to come in, they automatically lock on to that user base. You know, we've seen it obviously with with Hero and Backcows and stuff like that. A lot of VeVe fam just go like, "What? I'm going there as well," you know, and straight away they lock into the user base that you already have. And at the end of the day, that's the power, isn't it? I suppose the user base is there already. Exactly. So yeah, it makes sense for people to want to use it as an incentive to make their own apps and stuff. So
and you know, that user base is already qualified, right? There's HRO and Backcows are perfect examples. Our user base already understands licensed NFTs, so it's a very easy jump across the gap, you know. And same thing for token holders, right? If you're integrating a token that is now fully diluted, is only deflating in supply, and you have this user base of token holders who understands what it's for or would like to use those tokens, I mean, you've got instant leverage and instant community.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, some interesting ones now. Fees. It's all calculated that obviously there's the 10% fee, but then you've also got all the market fees, and then you've got tax on top of that. So by the time you actually sort of cash out your collectible, so to speak, you've lost like 40% of your value, or more, or 46%, I think it was, something along them sort of lines. Which I suppose doesn't really matter if you're buying it for say 50 and then making like a lot on it or whatever. But obviously that fee is still quite large in that sense. But the one thing I sort of was wondering is because obviously there's the minimum 1,000 gem cash out and then the 10% fee. So let's just imagine that using that. But like, is that not like a barrier to entry for people who are not used to crypto? As in like, like if my Joe Blogs off the street comes in and goes, oh, I'll put 50 quid into Veve, and then he tries to get a drop and he doesn't. And then he goes, oh, I'll just take my money out. Oh crap, I need 1,000 in order to take it out. Is that not like a bigger barrier than trying to get them in the first place? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's not so much a barrier of getting people in. It's just an issue to deal with when they try to get out, right? Or when they want to get out. Now that comes with more information and education. There's confirmation screens in the app now that you have to confirm that you understand money out, that kind of thing. They've been in there for a little while now. So things like that. But longer term, really that fee, other than covering costs, is a bit of a disincentivization for people to cash out, right? And that's to balance the app store fees that we pay on the way in, and then and try to do those things amongst a few other things. Now, as the user base moves to the web platform and we're not facing those app store fees, or at least not facing them for as much of the gems that are purchased, the income coming in, we can start to bring that fee down and really start to look at those things. I personally don't agree with people bundling in the market transaction fees and the cash out. Now, I understand if that is the transaction you're kind of selling and then cashing out, then obviously you're facing those fees. But like the 6.5% is a Marvel imposed fee or a Disney imposed fee, right? So that's not us doing it. That's what it takes to get those companies into this space, and why they, the whole value prop for them in the secondary market is that perpetual royalty that they get, right? So as much as it sucks, that's not a fee charged by us. So I don't like it to kind of be as mixed in. But yeah, the 10% fee is high. We're not naive to that. We're definitely going to try and bring it down as these systems balance out, and as that kind of revenue balances with app store fees and those kind of things. Maybe there's some potential there to use 1% of that fee to then go and buy some OMI and burn that too. Like there's other ways.
Is that not like a buyback though?
It is like a buyback. I'm hoping there's ways to feed it into the system somewhere, right? It is. But
someone mentioned, or someone, I can't remember who it was now, but they said, what about maybe making the collectible price more, but the fees to cash out less? So therefore you add like $10 or whatever onto each collectible, they're going to sell out no matter what anyway. And then the fee to cash out for everyone is less because it offsets it. So is that, I don't know if that's a possibility.
I mean, I think the difficulty with that would be just because it's more at the start. Well, then if you bought it off the drop, you've paid more, but you might not be the person cashing out from that transaction, right? Someone else.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Market, and then they're cashing out for less, even though someone else has covered that cost for them. So I think we're hesitant to really push prices up on the store because that is a barrier to entry, right? Like if you try to mint some of these ETH NFTs and they're minting at 0.1 or something, like that's a lot of money to someone.
It's ridiculous amounts. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's and then do that and then pay gas on top. So that in itself would be a barrier, I think. I think our biggest goal there is to continue to make these products and collectibles affordable, not just from a usability or user standpoint, but I mean, there's so much content from every brand to come out. If we started pricing everything at $500, then the people that buy a similar collectible later are upset because they paid so much for the first one, or vice versa. So it's really that is a really balancing act there that we play regularly. But I think our biggest priority will always be to try and sell the best NFTs, which I think we do, at very reasonable and affordable prices. And it really just feeds back to the original ethos that we were trying to bring the physical world of collecting into the digital space, not just create this new, entirely new and overpriced JPEG, basically.
I guess that's the thing, isn't it? Because like in the real world, if you go to David Hughes' shop, for instance, and you buy a physical collectible, you then don't buy it, hold it for 10 minutes, and then say, right, buy it back from me. So, well, you just don't expect it. But then I suppose at the same time, you've got the option to go to other places to be able to do that. Whereas with Veve, you kind of don't. You're kind of locked into the system as it stands at the moment. But obviously, that's all going to change in the future, isn't it? So
yes, yeah. And look, within that, I mean, if you bought something from David Hughes' store, you'd have to hold it really for 20 years before it became collectible, right? So that whole waiting period has been removed by the digitization of this stuff. But it also gives you, now if I want to sell something, well, I don't need to find that other ultimate passionate collector on the other side of the world through eBay or something and go through that whole process of sending them the collectible, hoping it's right, hoping it arrives safe, all of those kind of things. So you do have this instant distribution in the store and instant secondary market, which you couldn't access before. And based on that, you do get this value premium very quickly as a collectible item. Right? It goes from the $15 we sell a comic to, I don't know what the secret rares are from today, but I'm assuming over 1,000 gems probably. If you bought that comic in the real world, maybe you got lucky and got a variant cover, but you would have to hold it in mint condition for the next 15 or 20 before you could realize the profit from that. And I think that people just really forget that part of what we've put together. We're so used to this instant gratification world where I can order something from Amazon and it will show up before we finish talking. So people assume that that's just how everything in the world should now operate, that you get this instant value accrual or appreciation without recognizing just how many steps of that have been removed in digitizing this product. So
yeah, of course. Yeah. I guess that's the thing about crypto, isn't it? People expect to, millionaire the next day, basically buy yourself a token next day, millionaire, because it happens at the end of the day. So
Yep, it absolutely does. And they're the stories that get propagated, right? It's the modern day gold rush.
Yeah.
So people come in and think they're going to do it too, but as I'm sure a lot of people have learned in the last few months, bear markets can hurt. They can be painful.
They're definitely hurting at the moment, aren't they? Yeah, exactly.
We all pay for our crypto education. Some of us just pay more than others. And it's important to allocate to things that have longevity, in my opinion, anyway. And that's always been our real value proposition. We're digitizing brands that have communities and have established collector communities, not just people who buy into Twitter hype. And I think that over the long term, that will continue to make a huge difference.
Yeah, of course. So in terms of the fees for the platform, then, just out of interest, so when obviously we're not on IMX or OpenSea or anything like that, but obviously they have their own fees when you go and do something on OpenSea or IMX. So will there also be the Veve fees plus the licensor fee and then plus their fees? Do we know? Or will it be like, will there be more fees added on because of their own fees, or will they be instead of, rather than?
I would assume there'd be more. So the whole, working with IMX and all these layer twos, really, it lets you, the smart contracts that govern that NFT are responsible for those fees, right? Or splitting that royalty. Now on OpenSea, you can set your own royalty, right? I could create an NFT and say anyone who resells this, I get 50% of the cut or something like that. So that licensor fee will still definitely be maintained. I think the Veve platform fee would be maintained too, or that 2.5, the success fee. And then it will depend on where else it's for sale as to whether they're charging an additional fee. I think OpenSea's standard fee is 2.5% maybe as well. So I would expect that to be charged at least on OpenSea. Now, if that is different once IMX is integrated or you're just selling on the IMX marketplace, I don't think they've put in a fee market yet with the IMX token. I think it's just you might pay in ETH on layer 2 or whatever it is for gas. So look, there's probably going to be some, anywhere that you're selling it on a more crypto-based platform, there will be some sort of gas fee or crypto fee. On top of ours, basically. But look, all those fees, maybe not so much the crypto fees, but the licensor fee, the success fee, like that just gets added to the value of the collectible, right? Just account for it that way. So
yeah, I think people were saying that anyway, and I think Brock was saying that as well when it said about the fees and stuff. He was saying that you would just add 10% onto your market price, you know, so that therefore, you know, but then I know other people who are in the real world who are like 10%. So, you know, it's like, I guess it also, like you said, it depends on what you bought it for in the first place and what you want to sell it as. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's up to you whether you sell it on or whether you hold it for longer or whatever, you know, it's.
Yeah, exactly right. And look, at the end of the day, I mean, this is a collectibles app, not an investment app, right? It's obviously those collectibles can provide you value.
Advice.
Not financial advice, all of those things. But like, that's why we've always said, buy the things you love, buy the things you enjoy, right? And that's how the collectible world really works anyway, right? You're a fan of something, you purchase some sort of merchandise, and like maybe it becomes collectible later, right? Obviously, we have that programmable scarcity from the size of a mint, but I still advise people to buy the things they enjoy, and you know, if it turns out great, it turns out great. You know, then there's less heartbreak if you buy something and think you're going to be a millionaire within 10 minutes.
Yeah, of course. So with that in mind, then, with the IMX thing and stuff we were just talking about there. So obviously we are now on Immutable X, as in like the things have been transferred over, all of the token. Well, not token. Yeah, I guess token as well. Everything, basically everything is over. But obviously we're still not on IMX as a marketplace. Like if I went to buy Hero, I could actually buy it on IMX, obviously. So what is it that's preventing Veve from putting it on there? Is it because they're waiting for other integrations before they roll it out, or is it just something to do with the IMX devs, or is it just, I don't know?
Yeah. So I mean, there's a bit of that for sure. Same thing. It's really from 2 points of view: the licensors allowing it and getting all that legalese and contract stuff put in place. Okay. But from a smart contract point of view, the IMX needs to integrate the right smart contracts for us to be able to split that royalty properly, and for that to then be maintained if your NFTs are going to, say, OpenSea or some other marketplace as well. Now, our contracts are built on IMX. If IMX isn't integrated with OpenSea yet, then those contracts can't be moved. And when I say those contracts, I mean like those NFTs. It won't have that same effect for the licensors and the royalties and things. So there are integrations that we're waiting on. You know, as we mentioned earlier, that token bridge just went live. That's the first time you could send ERC20 tokens from the platform to your wallets and things like that. So they're definitely still building out their dev tools, but we're still working on the licensors and those kind of things too.
So in terms of like the licensors that you know, because like I was wondering, like, will you do a rollout, for instance, like, are you going to wait until they're all sort of on board with it, or is it going to be like, for instance, like the artists, they'll just go, right, IMX is ready now, pop the artists on, and then after that, maybe some other ones if they allow it?
Yeah, when we get closer to it, and closer to opening that interoperability, we'll release a list of which ones will be able to be sent elsewhere.
Oh, I see.
You know, just so that people are aware. Now, I've always maintained that the artists and the independent licensors, for lack of a better term, can be and probably will be the quicker to move, right? And that's, I mean, half of them already have NFTs on OpenSea, right? And they already understand sort of what that market looks like, and they're ingratiated in that market. So I would still assume that to be the case. But conversely, I mean, most of the reason people want to move their stuff to OpenSea, for example, is to sell it for ETH. You know, so what I'm more interested in longer term is there a way that we can offer ETH in Veve, right, or through the web platform, or let you buy with stable coins, or things like that too, right? Obviously from an app retention point of view, but just to open that accessibility too, I think that would go a long way to cementing us in the what I would call the traditional NFT market, as well as bringing in, you know, much more of that user base too. So I'd like to see that at some point in the future, but they're really the holdups there. Oh, sorry, outside of our priority list, right? And right now the priority list is web platform, which is already being tested, then KYC, then payout. So, you know,
I wasn't sure if you were sort of waiting for that, because obviously the OpenSea integration type thing is they're sort of working on it, isn't it? So I thought maybe you're waiting for that one and all of them to be in place, so it all rolls out in one go essentially. But so it's all to do with the licensors and trying to go through the red tape of trying to figure out who will and who won't and all that kind of stuff.
And look, if the artists go first, all the other licensors will watch that, right? That will be the demonstration, right?
Yeah, of course.
And confirm that those royalties are coming back and all those things. And then from that point on, it doesn't make that much sense not to allow it, in my opinion. I mean, it's brand awareness in so many more places. It's it's standing to do that. And really, from an app point of view, if I see a premium, Pixar collectible on OpenSea, that's legitimate, right? And I will make that point that all of any VeVe NFT you see on OpenSea right now is a scam, right? And there's scams every single week.
Yeah,
but once they are legitimate and you follow that back to the VeVe app, I mean, I really think that that's a co-marketing strategy that will benefit us more than anyone else. So.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's expected that the prices will definitely rise on the things because there'll be more people who will have access to the and also it's interoperability, isn't it? I can't even say that word, but you know what I mean. So therefore, the people who do the FUD about it's not a real NFT because you can't take it off the thing and all that.
It's completely ridiculous anyway. I mean, NFTs are technology. How you choose to use that technology is up to you. So it's that claim. I have a little twitch from hearing that still.
Well, I remember when I was first watching some videos of, I think it was Dan and David when they first did interviews with some YouTubers, and they were saying that it was a really good plus that it was in a walled garden essentially. So I wondered, because they were basically saying that it's great because the kids can play with it or whatever, and if they lose it, they just have a password that gets them back in. There's none of all that sort of thing, and it's a bit more secure. And like I know some people say like customer service, they're not happy with it or whatever, but you don't get customer service in crypto in general. So therefore, for you to have an actual customer service that you can come to, and like when all the people got hacked or whatever, you managed to get the collectibles back. You managed to sort something out. If there's a situation where a drop doesn't work, you do something to write it or whatever. But there's a lot of crypto where they just go, sorry mate, that's it. So I don't really understand that sort of
Yeah, that's it. I mean, look, you're absolutely right. That has been a huge benefit to us from the start to let us kind of make these changes wherever they need to happen. And if we're going to continue to bring in the mainstream, you have to have that safety net, really, that customer service, right? Whenever interoperability is available, we're going to have 17 confirmation screens to say, like, you understand we cannot help you if this is on another platform and that kind of thing, right? Or if you lose your keys, because that will be, especially for our user base, a lot of whom aren't crypto based, that will be a huge educational stage that we go through just so that people do understand the ramifications if they send them off app. And second to that, I mean, you might send them off app to sell them somewhere else, but you have way more fun with them in the app, right? You can't do all the AR stuff. You can't build your showrooms. You can't do all those kind of fun utility features that we've added in so far. So look, I think for a couple of weeks, it will be really exciting and hypey. And then I think people will just return to the app and use it the same way. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, I think that's what people are saying, because at the end of the day, like you said, you can't do all the stuff with it, can you? So, and that's kind of the draw of it as well. If you couldn't use the showrooms and stuff like that, then most people would be like, oh, look what I've got, and that's it. So it's nice to be able to use it. We got a super chat there. I'm not sure what it means, but I think maybe you can make a sense of that one. But exchange in November was after IMX migration news.
I think it's just a new exchange. Maybe?
I don't know. Well, let's talk about exchanges then. Let's find out. Have we got anything coming? Because I know David said in one of the updates, he was saying that you're kind of waiting for exchanges anyway. Your exchanges is to release them over a period of time or whatever. So is there one sort of, I don't know, in the next quarter or something, or what's the?
I can't really say that. Yeah,
that's what I figured. Yeah, I figured I wasn't really going to ask, to be honest, but because he came up on the thing, so
yeah. Look, that's as David said. I've said this in previous AMAs. The plan. Honestly, as much as people kind of hang their hats on an exchange, listing on bigger or new exchanges right now would be a terrible choice. Right? It would just pump. It would just it'd pump for 3 days and then probably done. Right, so we really want to maintain that momentum. As we start to roll these things out, as Ecomi utility comes out, as and really layer that on again, so that we continue to grow from this base, right? As opposed to just that moon boy pump and dump, which just causes nothing but FUD, right? I think most of us went through that 12 months ago and have kind of been going through it since. So really attacking it with a much more structured approach and rollout. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let's get to the Ecomi then, shall we? Tokenomics. Dan has been talking about the tokenomics changing. Now, is he actually talking about changing the tokenomics, or is he just sort of inferring that more things are going to come in to give more burns or something?
Yeah. So a little bit of both. I can't go into too much detail until that comes out. So we're not changing the tokenomics. It's very much the system that people know and are used to. We've just rejigged it to be much more sustainable. And within that, a lot of people ask about, what happens when the reserve runs to zero or things like that. So we've kind of solved a lot of problems like that and really just created a system that serves us now and can and will also serve us in the future for any other users, platforms, apps, games, anything else that wants to integrate with our system. So yeah, definitely a few updates coming. It's probably better to call them updates than changes, which will roll out alongside the utility program. Now the utility program is where more of the burns and uses or utilities come from, which will then feed into this newer or updated tokenomic system, and that's what really gives us the longevity there. But that's probably all I can really say on that until we release this information.
Okay, so it seems like from what I can gather, it seems like quite a lot of people are selling Neomi at the moment because of the fact that they're kind of moving into other projects where they feel that they're going to get a return before Omi 2 NFT comes out. So therefore, what is our reason? I guess give us a reason to hold Omi rather than getting rid of it. What is the what would be the elevator pitch as a reason to to keep it rather than trying to get into a random project, jump in and jump out and jump back in again, for instance? What would be the
I mean, look, first and foremost, I would call that gambling. So
right.
I think it's a terrible strategy for anyone who, if that is the genuine use of your funds and you think you're going to be able to ride a pump on something else in a bear market and then jump back to what we're doing, I think it's terrible as an investment point of view. But fundamentally for Omi, I mean, nothing's changed, right, from the original kind of value drivers and value propositions. If anything, it's only getting stronger.
Of course.
We have the most successful mobile first NFT platform in the world. We have one of the largest user bases in crypto, but in NFTs for something like this. And all of those people are about to be directly marketed this token. Now, yeah, about to be might not be 3 days from now, but that is still coming. Then you tie it in with things like this AMC partnership, right? So we're about to bring a whole lot of new eyeballs to the app, which is only going to build that user base, provide more people to direct market to. You have the Omi utility program, which is great for token holders at the moment, but what we've really tried to build in is incentivization mechanisms for people to jump the gap from non-crypto to crypto, right? And then we make the token itself much more accessible in the app and through exchanges and all those things. So all of the catalysts for Omi are still ahead of us. And we've really proven that we have such a solid holder base now at these levels. We've revisited this price a couple of times. So yeah, I personally think that the bottom of a bear market is the worst time to sell anything, let alone sell something to try and gamble on something else. And the value driver for VeVe fundamentally is the same as well, right? We have these premium collectibles, but from licensed brands with established communities. That is already starting to shine through, but will continue to shine through as more and more of these 10,000 PFP projects just fall by the wayside.
Yeah.
And starts to shine there. So look, I've personally never been more confident in the Omi token. And then, I mean, look, you're starting to see it, right? We're layering in the bridge is now live, right? So more pieces are in place. The token logos and the integrations on IMX Marketplace are already there. Epico Regal's just announced they're going to use the token. Features is going to use the token. We have another game using it. I'm only looking to expand that ecosystem and find more uses and utilities, which will continue to bring in their own communities, more specifically on the Omi side. So yeah, that's probably what I would say to that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they do like a speculation of, okay, right, this is when this is going to happen. This is when this is going to happen. And then they basically put their thing. They think, well, what I'll do is I'll jump out, I'll do something here, and then I'll jump back in before that happens. But what they don't realize is that other stuff is going to happen that also may push it in the right direction. So like you said, it's a bit of a gamble essentially, isn't it? But I guess people move their money around in crypto as well. So that way they can try and, jump in on land sales or whatever,
I completely get that too, right? But I think that people really need to decide if they are investors, and I mean in every sense of the word, actually here to hold for the long term, or if they're speculators, right? And if you're a speculator, then you probably do chase every green candle and lose money every time and lose money.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the issue, isn't it?
And like, okay, cool. If that's how you need to learn about crypto, go learn about it. But once you go through that journey enough times, you get to a point where you realize, okay, fundamentals actually matter here, and matter for the long term. There will always be some other shitcoin meme dog token that because like even for that to happen, like these businesses mobilize bot armies. So you go on Twitter, you think everybody's talking about this token and it's going to be this thing, but it's just hundreds of thousands of fake accounts, fake followers, literally designed to get you to buy that token and then dump it.
Of course, yeah. Well, look at SafeMoon now. It's gone crazy, isn't it? Lately, is all the scam stuff coming out about SafeMoon, which a lot of people knew anyway, obviously. But
I mean, come on, it's called SafeMoon. Like,
yeah, exactly.
That wasn't a red flag for anyone buying a token. So, look, people will do this, right? They'll do it through the bear market. A lot of people will get burnt out. They'll leave the industry. But the ones who understand what actually provides value to a token and to a company and are happy to place their chips there and just sit back and wait, I mean, they're usually the ones rewarded the most, right? It might not be as exciting, sure, but you don't want exciting in crypto. You want stability.
Yeah, you want it to exactly slowly climb, essentially, rather than because obviously there's the pumps and then there's the dumps, and there. So you're literally sitting on the edge of your seat waiting to get out, rather than actually in it for the long term, just waiting for it to to naturally rise. Which is, I guess, why you said as well the exchanges side of things, that when they do release, like as what David, you said, he doesn't want to just release all the exchanges, because a lot of people are saying, well, how come all these coins are getting on exchanges and we're not? But it makes sense to do it as a staggered thing anyway, so that there's not just a huge pump and then nothing.
Yeah,
because
exactly right. And by the same regard, right? Like if shit coins get onto exchanges because they have just made a lot of money from people who don't know what they're doing, pay the fees, get on the exchange, create their own exit liquidity, then continue to dump on everybody until the project just disappears because there was nothing behind it. So even that, like, exchanges will take the business because it's high volume, even if it's for a short amount of time, and they make money on fees. But yeah, it's not a sustainable way to do business, I don't think. Yeah,
of course. Yeah. Matty Lambert here, or Matty Lambert wants to know, why does your t-shirt read Eve?
Very good question. It's mirror friendly shirt.
Sorry, I had a bit of a cough there. I've had the dreaded lurgy, the proper one. Yeah. I did the test and I was pregnant, so therefore I've had that for the last couple of days. So I'm still my voice is still a bit all croaky and stuff. But anyway, okay, so this is a bit of a tongue-in-cheek one, really. Then in that case, but not financial advice and all that. But can you ever see a $1 Omi?
Anything's possible.
Okay, there you go. That's it. Perfect. Good answer.
Anything's possible. Yeah, look, realistically, looking at the amount of tokens we have at the moment, a $1 Omi would be, what, I don't know, 600.
Yeah, it'd be astronomical, wouldn't it? Yeah. But I guess with all the stuff coming, who knows, I suppose.
Long term, anything's possible. I mean, we're literally designing these mechanics to remove and completely destroy the token, right? So once that total token number is down, in reserve and in circulation and all those kind of things, sure, like anything can happen. But yeah, if people are same thing, better to set realistic expectations. And if people are expecting $1 Omi next week, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, without a doubt. So that's what leads me on to my next question. We were going to talk about the OUP, but we've kind of covered that anyway, didn't we, as we were thinking. But buybacks, obviously, it was kind of said that they were stopped. Or maybe they were sort of inferred they were stopped, and now it's sort of been inferred that they're back on again, but maybe not, but in a different way. So obviously, all the way along, they've been tracking the burn of the token. So is there a reason at this moment in time to track the burn of the token other than just for like fun and morale, essentially? So I like, not necessarily saying the buyback's happening or anything like that, but is there a reason to track that burn? Because essentially it's in a reserve wallet, isn't it? That doesn't really exist. Well, it does exist, but you know what I mean. It never sees the light of day. So therefore, does it matter if it burns down? And we now know that obviously tokens are going to come from Epico Regal that are going to go into the reserve. So therefore, you can never say it's going to go to zero, obviously. That was never going to be the case. But is there a reason to track that metric anymore? Is there something that we don't know about that may...
Yeah, I mean... Two things I would say, as you said, fun and morale, right? It's cool to kind of see that thing, and really that token burn is what lets Puddin' Cheeks track sales and gem sales and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
It's good to have that tied in, but really, I mean, it is still it is still utility, right? We are permanently destroying that supply of tokens. So whenever we move to this updated system or other systems in the future, we're starting with a smaller token base already. So from that point, I think it's great to track, right? It's great to kind of track the health of the ecosystem. It's a cool mechanic to see at the moment. As prices are down, we're destroying more tokens quickly, so that anything we do in the future starts with a smaller base of tokens. But no, at the moment it is disconnected from the original intended system. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Something about a gem exploit. Somebody wanted to know what's happening with the gem exploits. So, I don't know if you can give us an update on that or not.
Yeah, I mean, not too much more than what has already been said. Still kind of undergoing investigation.
Forensics.
Yeah, we were working with the New Zealand Cyber Crimes Unit and things like that. So we obviously are acting based on their advice. And so it's taken a few weeks, right? It hasn't been that long, but it hasn't been that short either. To anyone who is still affected, I think we did send out some update emails last week. We have been waiting on the last kind of bit. So it does sound like we're quite close to a resolution. But as of yet, I don't have any updates on that. So I really appreciate everyone's patience and please just sit tight until the team lets you know what's happening.
Yeah, we kind of say that when we're doing our videos and stuff, obviously, we know that you guys always come through no matter what, whether it be, when we didn't get the drop or something, you get given a random secret rare or whatever. You always manage to figure out a way, which like I said, other cryptos and stuff, they just don't care. So therefore, there's always a nice thing about VeVe is that you always somehow make it up to the people that were affected. And that's one of the things that I like a lot.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, we always try to make things right, especially when it's something that was on our end. As a company, we obviously have insurance and those kind of things as well, right? Based on these designs. So there's a due process that has to go through there to really solidify what is happening and what our company position is before we can act on anything else. So yeah, they're just other parts that are taking place. It's not like we're just sitting here like, oh, we're investigating, blah blah blah. There's stuff happening that brings us there.
So a question about, I don't know if you know the answer to this, and this is probably just a completely left field type thing, but like when the stuff gets stolen, for instance, or I suppose not scammed, but literally stolen, like, like the Bored Apes, obviously some people got their Bored Apes stolen because they connected to wallets and stuff like that. Because essentially it's just a JPEG with a receipt, why can they not just, or like, can you not just remint it, but with an added A or B or something on it, so that way people know that the first version is now dead, and the second version is the one that's worth the money, because of the fact that essentially it really only goes on what people are willing to pay for it anyway. So therefore that receipt is just changed slightly. So why don't they do that? And then that would, or why can't you do that? I don't know. I don't know what the situation is there, how it works. So
yeah, I mean, I guess theoretically it's a possibility, but you'd have to remint the whole collection every single time one of these things happened.
I see. So you couldn't just go, right, these ones particularly have got, like, if you, oh no, I suppose, because then if someone tried to sell one that didn't have an A against it, then that means that they would be like, that's a fake one, when in actual fact, then, oh, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense.
If you do it once to repeal it for someone, then how many other times do you have to do it every time someone gets scammed? And then I guarantee people try to game that system where it's like, oh, my collectible got stolen, and then they just remint a whole new. I think it just gets a bit too messy to be able to do.
Yeah, of course, yeah, it kind of makes sense. No, because obviously the Bored Apes got stolen, that was a lot of money, and obviously the VeVe ones got stolen. Then you had to try and figure out a way of tracing them, getting them back, and all that, and it was a big nightmare, wasn't it? Basically,
it absolutely was, and thankfully in the earlier days with less users, it was a bit easier to manage and put the pieces together. But we really don't want to be in a situation or a position where we have to do that regularly either, right? Everyone's responsible for their own security, their own app security. Everyone's got 2FA now, all of these kind of things. So, there really should be no excuse for being scammed or being hacked. Obviously, we don't arbitrate or support any transactions that happen off app, those kind of things. If we started to really repeal collections or do anything of that nature to suit one person who got scammed or stolen from, I just think it sets a really bad precedent for how we deal with that in the future.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I guess you've got to do a lot of investigation every time that happens as well, because even the person who's pretending, or no, not pretending, even the person who's coming to you saying, "Hey, my stuff's stolen," could just be a bad actor pretending to be someone. Yeah, exactly. So, and you never know, do you? There's not really. But I guess we got a question from Matthew Lambert here, and that's may I ask you, Dan or Dave or Dan, ever in private lose their patience with the number of people who only complain and never happy? Don't know if we can really answer that one, but I'm guessing, like anyone, I'm guessing people lose the patience. Jay Storm, I missed your super chat. You said I didn't see your super chat, so therefore let me see if I can find. I don't know how. Is it up on the screen? Pop it back in the messages for me, not as a super chat, just as a normal one, and I will try and sort that out for you.
Nice.
I got the exchange one.
Matthew Lambie's question. No, look, they don't lose their patience, but we are honestly, it doesn't matter how tight a net you try to make those terms and conditions, someone will find a way to try to exploit us somewhere, or threaten to sue us every 3 days, or whatever it happens to be to their own end. I mean, even like the updates we roll out, right? Like we tried to roll out this market reservation update in the last week, right? And I'm sure we'll address this on the next AMA, but probably worth bringing up now. And the idea of that was so that, if someone had already reserved a collectible, well, then the next person would get that message instead of, being frustrated by these things being sniped from under them straight away, right? Now, obviously, in the rollout of that, there's penalties now if you reserve a collectible and don't pay for them, because as soon as we rolled that feature out, well, people started to game that system where they would have themselves or teams or multiple accounts reserving the first 20 collectibles constantly, right, on a loop, just manually reserving every time they're
I saw that,
to force you to buy number 21 on the list, which is their collectible or a higher price or whatever, right? So like literally within minutes, people find ways to game these things. Now, longer term,
it's crazy. I don't know how they come out with these things. Honestly, it's like you think you're doing something nice, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh crap!"
And then it just goes the other way around. Why did you do this? This is terrible. All the things that come with it. So like there are just some things you don't account for, or you can't account for until something goes live. And to be honest, this one's pretty clever. Like credit to the people who figured it out that quickly. But then now, obviously, we've rolled out this update where there's market penalties. So if you reserve a collectible and don't pay for it, I think if it's if you do it 3 times, then you're restricted from the market. And then that system will be updated to better suit everybody again. I know those penalties. There was a bit of an issue if you were reserving, and if you went to reserve and it was already reserved, you would still be penalised. So obviously, we're going to repeal that, change the system on that front too. So it's all coming together. And in the long term, all these little loopholes or grey areas or whatever just make our product offering stronger. They help us to refine those terms and conditions to make sure that the platform is fair to use for everybody. So even though they're short-term frustrations, no, we don't really lose our patience with those kind of things. They're actually great opportunities to learn and improve. Yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Yep.
Okay. We had a couple of super chats that we missed. The first one was that he hadn't received his comic. I'm guessing you're just going to say open a ticket, because there's nothing we can do personally, is there? So yeah, just whoever said that, then go and open a ticket. And have they all been delivered now? I don't even know if they've all been delivered, to be honest. So
there's a drop 8 o'clock.
Maybe not. Sometimes they're not, are they? It just depends. So
yeah, if you still have a pending delivery banner and your gems were deducted, you should be right to receive one. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we've got a super chat here, which is 45 billion OMI currently burned. Are there solid, actionable plans to offset this amount from circulating supply? Now, I think they get confused there, because that's not how it works, is it? That comes out of the reserve wallet. So therefore, it's the buybacks that would do that. But obviously,
correct. Buybacks are the link to circulating supply for that part of the system.
Yeah.
But as we've kind of touched on, the OUP will add a lot of new utilities that will burn from circulating supply. Integrations like Epico Regal, that's going to burn from circulating supply if people start to use the token there. And I would implore people to not just look at Epico Regal now, right? Obviously, they need to build their own user base and their own game, but focusing on the Indian market, which is 1.3 billion people, and then being able to introduce the OMI token in their platform to whoever adopts Epico Regal, right? So we kind of now have these parallel ecosystems building out with their own uses for the token that are going to continue to remove them from circulation too. So that's really how this starts to balloon out.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So land, while we're on the subject then, because that's something that someone asked on Twitter, and I think I know the answer to this anyway, but land, from what I can gather, when you buy land, that all of that OMI is burnt. Is that correct?
We haven't released any specific VeVeVerse details like that.
Okay.
Yeah. We have alluded to it in the past for sure.
Yeah, I think Dan said on one of the AMAs, if I remember rightly, because I sort of jumped on it. I was like, whoa! And he said that any land bought, all of the OMI will come from circulating supply, because obviously it's your own OMI, isn't it? And then that will be burnt. So that is the full percentage of it essentially? Is that that's
So.
Yeah.
Cool.
If that's what awesome. And do we know how land is going to be distributed yet? Have you sort of looked at blind boxes or anything like that, or pop-up auctions or anything, or we don't know any of that stuff?
No, and just to set a realistic timeline on that, the first iteration of the VeVeVerse will be more of an extension of your homes. Now, I don't know if that comes with a land purchase first and then your home is there, or if it's more of a just branch of the sort of current showrooms, but you can move between other ones and things like that. So I think that would be the first rollout, and then the land sales would happen later, and you could actually establish where your home is. So just, I'd rather put a more realistic timeline on that too. I don't think we'll see land sales, in the next couple of quarters or anything.
Oh, okay. So that's what I was going to say. That was another question someone asked. Will there be land this year? So therefore, we're not expecting land this year then, or maybe?
No confirmations yet. Maybe in the second half of the year we make a lot more progress on that front. But
yeah,
I'm not personally expecting that. I think getting the OMI utility features into the app would take precedence, and those kind of things too. I would like to see that take precedence. It makes a lot more sense to me. But the VeVeVerse is being developed alongside what we're doing, so maybe they just need to be ready at the same time. Yeah, we'll see.
So how is land going to be valuable essentially, or maybe it's not, I don't know, but are we going to be given like tools to create experiences, or is it just going to be, here's a piece of land, you've got your showroom on it, so therefore if people want to come in, they can pay gems or whatever, if you've got a collection or whatever, or is there going to be like, to be honest, I kind of struggle with the whole metaverse land being worth a lot of money anyway, because essentially it's virtual, isn't it? It's not real land, obviously. So how is there a way that there's going to be some kind of something that people can do to increase their values of land, like put it in a certain place or whatever, or
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just going to generally talk about this as opposed to specifically for us, because until we release those details, we will. But yeah, I mean, the idea of metaverse land, other than maybe having your home on it or where you store your digital stuff, is that most of them are or will be open to outside development, right? And you use their development tools, but so that you could build like your own sort of theme park, for lack of a better term, or your own experiences that people may want to come and pay for, right? Or you have a storefront, right? If you're selling VeVe merch, maybe you have a digital VeVe merch store in there, right? And you can add those to your avatar, or you go into that person's shop on their block of land, like a product, order it, and it goes through Shopify backend or something and is delivered to your house, right? So there are a lot of income earning potentials of digital land based on your skill set or what you're willing to build or where you're willing to build it, that go beyond just our ideas of renting your collectibles or charging into your showroom, that kind of thing. So
would you need to be like a coder in order to be able to do that sort of stuff, or are we talking there's like integration of some kind, or
hire some developers, or it's the same. Really, the concept is the same as building a normal business, right? If you have a shop front in a store where you're paying rent for that, or you've purchased some land somewhere, you've built this thing, you have all of that. So if you think about it in the same way, the same concepts apply, right? Like one idea would be almost like a digital thrift store, right? You could have like low end or low priced NFTs in there for sale, but as thrift stores, or on the other end, most people have seen Pawn Stars, right? The pawn shop show in the US or whatever, where they value a lot of collectible items.
Thought you were talking about something else then. I was looking at this question, just getting prepared. I was like, what?
No. But any integration like that, you can kind of digitize, right? You can sell these digital products, digital fashion, digital merch. All these kind of things will be quite prominent in the wider metaverse.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm in the Bored Ape metaverse with my VeVe avatar and VeVe shirt on or something that I bought from someone in the VeVeVerse who made money in the other thing. So yeah, I mean, anything, any real business can be digitized. They can be tied to real world products. I think they create, a whole plethora of opportunity for people to make money from digital land. Now, whether all of those features apply to our metaverse, whether it's as interoperable, we'll all just have to wait and see.
Have to wait and see what happens. Fair enough. That's a good way to put it. So people are going crazy about the VeVeVerse, obviously crazy speculations and stuff like that, that, you know, that there's going to be trips to other planets. There's going to be races with hoverboards and stuff. So like, are all these things likely to happen one day, or is this literally just way out there?
Yeah, I think all of them have a chance of happening, right? It's the metaverse is kind of the next, the real benefit of Web3, right? And being able to move between these worlds and all of those things. Now, one of our core value propositions, the same as the VV app, is having that licensed content, which continues to translate into the metaverse, right? Or our metaverse. Yeah, I think any of those experiences are possible, right? It's I think on a very big level, it will be up to the individual licensors how much they want to build, or you know, how much energy they're going to put in. We've seen sort of whispers of Disney, you know, looking into the metaverse, and a lot of these other companies, like it's on their radar already. And really, I think the metaverse becomes their new means of fan engagement. And unless they choose to provide value there, then their products may become less valuable over time, because they're not, you know, everyone will begin to expect this utility of their items, their collectibles, their purchases, whatever it is. And I think a lot of that utility can come with gamified experiences, digital Disneylands, you know, all of that kind of stuff that comes with the metaverse. So
I just got a super chat there that says about the OUP. It went past so quick that I didn't see it. I don't know if you can see it in the chat or not. It was something about, in January, you said you'd put out the OUP article a week later or something, but it hasn't come out yet. So I don't know if you can see that one. Can you see it? I can't actually move up for some reason.
Well, I can see a chat question. Yeah. So it's basically just saying, you know, we said earlier in the year we'd have it out. What's changed? Basically, we're trying to get that clarification on the buyback mechanism, so that we can see either if we can proceed as it's designed with that, or reallocate or reuse that fund somewhere else in the ecosystem to the same effect. So we've been waiting for that. We also really did take the time to collect everybody's feedback after that first one. Try to design a much more fun system more than anything, because that, you know, that enjoyment is an incentivization to use your tokens and that kind of thing too. And really just to nail those staking tiers, make sure that we're offering enough reward for people, and balance all of those mechanisms, because you don't want, you know, because we do have the non-crypto gem side of the business and the crypto OMI side. You're obviously trying to incentivize on this side without completely disadvantaging the gem side. You're also trying to incentivize people to go from one to the other, back again. So really just scoping out each of those ideas and mechanisms and putting it together has taken longer. It's definitely taken longer than I anticipated, but it's also giving us a much more comprehensive and encompassing utility program.
Yeah, of course. It's trying to get that balance, I guess, isn't it? And that's the difficulty of it. But so do we have? Go.
Yeah, so that's why I say that, you know, we might tweak some numbers as we go, right? Because until we actually implement and roll out, we don't have a full data set to say this is actually what is being used, what isn't. But that's a future thing.
So will that article, will that just sort of jump on us again, just like, you know, whenever it comes out, or have you got an actual set date when you're planning on sort of in the next quarter or something, or it?
Yeah, no, I don't have that yet. We might roll out the tokenomic updates first, but I'd like to present them together. They make much more sense together. So as soon as they're both kind of ready and legally signed off.
I'm trying to avoid the Ren questions, because generally they're just, no, we don't know, we can't do anything. So, you know, but it's, oh my goodness, we've got a big one here. Hold on, let's pop this up so that people can see. Hopefully I can pop that out. There we go. Right, should we stop tracking reserve while it burns and assume we're not affect circulating supply going forward? I understand there are other ways to do it. We've already covered this one, haven't we? So therefore, basically, yeah, I'm afraid you just super chatted for no reason, because we covered this one already before. So if you go back and have a listen, but basically there's going to be essentially possible things in the future that may change, I suppose is the best way to put it.
Yeah. I mean, like, just to touch on it again, because you have done the super chat there. Yeah, the reserve burn is still completely destroying tokens from the supply, right? So it still serves a very solid purpose in the ecosystem. And whatever sort of updates or changes come later are affected by that, right? Because we start with a lower token base than what we had when we originally did the token generation. So look, still worth tracking. I still really appreciate looking at those things, and it's a great way to track the health of the ecosystem while we're there. So yeah, I still think there's a lot of value and a lot of utility in tracking those burns, even though they're not as connected as we originally intended. But that's why we're refreshing things. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Marvelous. Okay, so I guess NFTs. I've got a few more questions. I don't know how much time you've got, Rhys, so let me know.
Yeah, let's do a few more, and then I better get on with the day.
Okay, cool. So this one's a bit of a left field one, but there's a chap, My Collectibles. Is a great YouTuber. If you haven't seen his stuff, I don't know if you've seen his stuff or not, but anyone who's in the chat. And he had a little rant. It's hilarious because he's such a nice guy on all of his things. He's so upbeat and excited. And then he came in and did this little rant about the Doctor Strange NFTs because of the fact that they didn't sell out. He thought they were too expensive, that kind of thing. So what I wanted to know is it you guys that set the price, or is it Disney that set the price, or how is it that how do you decide how much things are going to be? Because and like I personally, like you said before, I don't think it matters if they sell out or not, because obviously if it's an empty store, then no one wants it. But I guess people see that as a metric to how much things are worth, don't they?
Yes, yeah, they do. Yeah, rightly or wrongly, that seems to be people's thing. So look, no, those prices are usually just, I mean, they're always finalized and confirmed by the licensor, right? They're the ones that have the final say. They kind of have a set idea, I guess, for lack of a better term, and then they go on our advice as to where we think it could land or what we think it's worth. Now, the prices are also based on how complicated a model those things are, right? And how complicated or where it fits into their product rollout, right? So, those things might have been higher priced and there were higher editions, but then we've got the Doctor Strange movie coming out soon, and you're expecting that kind of fan base to grow over time. So even when things don't sell out instantly, okay, I think people zoom in way too far and look at it based on our current fan base or the current fan base of that brand within the platform, instead of really looking ahead to understanding, just how much bigger this is going to grow and all those things. So,
which is hilarious because some people do that, and then other people do the opposite, where they look at and go, "Well, this will be big when these people come in, so therefore they buy the collectible now for when it comes in." So it's kind of again a funny balance.
And then I mean that's what helps balance this system, right? And that's why the free and open market is always what determines that price afterwards, right? We'll always try to keep things reasonably priced or lower end, and then it's up to the market to decide, whether that has that value or more or less or whatever that is. But I think people are still in this trap of thinking, because everything sells out, it's going to instantly go up in value as soon as I've bought it. Which for a lot of people, they're trying to get that secret rare, and if they don't get that, they'll get rid of the common straight away or things like that. So it's not, once it's sold from us, that's it. It's open market, and whatever strategy you choose as an individual or a collector or an investor is up to you.
Of course, yeah. We got one from Non-Fungible Wonderful here. Obviously, a great YouTuber and a musician as well. If you haven't checked out his stuff, go and check out his channel. But yeah, Veve NFT sales on a Mutascan on the web app. So I'm assuming he means, are they going to have the information coming up on? Is information for the things are not on a Mutascan yet anyway? Are they or?
No. So you can track the tokens moving, right? If you search your Ecomi wallet address on a Mutascan, you can see, if you've sold something, whatever that token identifier is, right? Which is all an NFT is, right? It's a little identifier that lives on the chain on chain. So no, I don't think the web app will directly link to that. What most people are waiting for is to actually go to a Mutascan, click on that token identifier and see the image, as opposed to seeing the image in the web app and then sending it across or whatever. So no, I don't think that'll be available straight away. I think that's a separate integration.
Sorry, just putting something in the chat there. So anyone who's done the super chat, 2 people said they'd done some super chats and I didn't see them. So therefore, put them in the chat because I will answer those for you. Not a problem. I can't actually. I don't know. Do you see them go past, Rhys? Because once it goes past me, it just disappears and I don't see it again. I can't actually.
But I can't see which ones are.
Yeah, that's the trouble. It's not like on YouTube where you can actually have it in the in the thing and see it. But anyway, I'll probably answer your question anyway, or your question will get answered. Or if not, then ask it at the very end, and we'll sort it out for you. So it's not a problem. But what was I going to say about the what's it called? Chaosium. I was just wondering when, like Chaosium, for instance, say they're not going to do any more NFTs and stuff like that. Does that halt any plans that you might have had for changing or adding things to that particular NFT or something? Like there was speculation that maybe it was chess pieces and the book was going to do something else or whatever. So is that because of the fact that when we would get metadata was well, we just said that on the thing, didn't we? We literally just spoke about that. Yeah. Okay. Someone says hi. Thank you for that. That's nice. Does that halt what's going on with the NFT? So like when Chaosium said like we're not doing any more at the moment, does that mean that you just go, okay, so we had planned maybe to do a game with it or something, but then now we're not going to because obviously we're not going to do any more collectibles, which therefore makes up the chess set? Just an example. That's a really way out there example, but
yeah, it does, right? And because ultimately the licensor is the one that has the final say on their IP, right, and what goes out and when it goes out and those things. Now, I think we've said this before, but Chaosium made a point of saying, they've just put on a hold for now. They're not necessarily out of the NFT game. They just needed the time to educate their community more about these things. We've put together some information docs, and we're all working through that together because that won't be the only case of this that we see, I don't think, right? There's still a lot of FUD and misunderstanding about energy usage and all those things in the wider NFT space. And, understandably affects a brand whose fans probably are a bit of an earlier generation and maybe aren't as ingratiated in Web3. So completely understand that. And yeah, to that effect, it does affect any sort of plans for those NFTs or any other NFT that we had new utilities for or whatever. But it's never in a way that, it's not off the table, right? It's more just let the dust settle a little bit, let everyone start to understand this industry more and see that it isn't just a fad, right? For us, we've been building this for 5 years, but a lot of the hype that came with NFTs over the past 12 months, spring up, create a profile picture project, hype it up, dump it. That's kind of the same as we see in crypto, we saw in NFTs. So I understand the hesitation of some licensors to be associated with that.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, it's the entire reason we built, the walled garden, as we say, or the app that we've designed in the first place, to circumvent those issues. And thankfully, we saw most of them before they happened. So we were able to build around it.
Gotcha. One of the super chats that came in was about Disney bases, apparently. So when are we going to see a base for the Disney? I have no idea what he means by that. So
don't they all be like the golden moments? Like
I believe so. Yeah, I guess. Well, they've got bases on them, haven't they? So I don't really understand that one, to be honest. Maybe it means like. No, I don't understand that. Maybe you can put in the chat. I can see the chat going past. Unfortunately, when it's a super chat, it goes and then it runs off when other people answer as well. So therefore, it's quite hard to be able to see these. Maybe I'll open up another feed on my YouTube so that way I can see them at the top. But yeah, if you just reiterate what you were asking about there, then that would be good. I think I didn't see any other super chats. So if there is any others, then just feel. Oh, Kid Roller, there we go. It says our collectibles will they be able to move and run in the VeVeVerse or just be statues? What's the update on the Labyrinth drop?
Nice. Good question. The moving and running of the collectibles themselves depends on how they're built. Right? For like those interactive collectibles, they're actually built with a skeleton inside them that moves depending on those features. Now, going from that to something that is like gameable, that you can run around and use as a character is another build and integration again. Whereas, some of the earlier collectibles that aren't interactive, they're designed to be static models and aren't designed to be moved. No, I think they will stay as statues, right? I don't think we get to this point where every single thing that's ever been released can now be run around with. It will depend on the type of collectible and that integration. The Labyrinth drop, let me just check my drop schedule here. No, better not. I think we will hear something about Labyrinth soon, actually. I did see something come across my desk the other day, so I'd like to see that happening at some point. But you guys know the way we do this. We don't really advertise or put anything out until it's ready to drop.
Okay. Okie dokie. Good stuff. So, because there was something about, is it LiDAR or something? I saw it was, I'm not sure where I saw it, but it was literally Batman was jumping and he was interacting with the thing. Was that something that Veve put out, or was that just some speculation somewhere?
We've definitely spoken about the LiDAR integrations
right
earlier in the piece. So that lets your collectible interact with your surroundings in AR. So a bit different to the, using them as an avatar, for example, in the VeVeVerse. So LiDAR is definitely one thing. Occlusion is another AR feature as well, if anyone's heard of that around the traps. And that's where you can essentially pin your collectibles behind real world items. So you might have your DeLorean parked in a spot and walk around the building, and then as you walk back around in AR, it'll still be there, that kind of thing. So those sorts of things are coming to AR, which I guess in a sense is becoming its own type of metaverse, right? It's that digital information overlay on our universe, but they're different to the avatar style integrations that we get on,
yeah, of course. Yeah. So we got this super chat, and it apparently it's to do with the bases. There's something hidden in the base or something. So it says that there's a hidden feature for the VV base, for the Disney base. So I don't know what that refers to.
No idea. Yeah, sorry for that question.
No idea either. It says coming soon. Apparently, a hidden feature in the base. Apparently, I don't know. I haven't looked into that, to be honest with you. So I'm not sure if you're talking about golden moments or maybe just Disney in general. But I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry, I apologize. Yeah, I'm really not up to speed on what that's referring to.
Yeah, no, me neither. So, are we going to be able to keep our NFTs the way we bought them without physical and tag changes? What does he mean there? Oh, so I guess he means like. So I just reading your message there. Yeah, I guess he means like instead of changing what something looks like if you add animation to it, can you keep it as it originally was? I guess that's what he's.
Yeah, I have seen people say this, and it would be great to be able to do, but I think at the moment it's more we'll update everything across the board. Yeah, I guess the logic there is that the updates make them much more usable or exciting, or for a lot of them, take the recent Rewind Collective drop, for example, when we first dropped those to House of Cards, and then they got updated to be in line with the most recent ones. Now, that was the original intention of those pieces, but maybe the technology wasn't quite ready then when we rolled them out. So we can, we roll these things out with the intention of updating later. Maybe in the future there's an option to toggle it on and off, or you get a prompt to say, yes, I do want the update, or no, I don't want the update, which I think would be really cool, right? It adds a different layer to that particular collectible within the market.
Yeah. But I guess people are getting stuck on these sort of things, but like later on down the line anyway, if you've got accessories, then you can add accessories to the thing, which makes it completely different anyway. So
yeah, exactly right. And he references the tag changes there more specifically. Those tags are platform specific, right? Like, yes, they're the first appearances and first editions, but they're our identifiers on the platform and that kind of thing. Now, note the tag definitions have been set, right? We drew that line in the sand. There's an article on the VV blog from a couple of months ago. So from that point, there aren't any tag changes.
Yeah.
Really just to reassimilate and realign everything we had done up until that point. So.
Okay, we got a thing about that, but while we're talking about tag changes, just very quickly, and that is, I've only got 2 more questions now anyway. So if you, because you said you need to go to the bathroom, so we'll wrap it up in just a second, unless the fam have got any more questions that are coming. So, and that was the Gavinci, or Gavinci, or wherever you say it, I don't know, the Gavinci ones. Is it only the Gavinci Pride that's the actual Gavinci, because they all come up as the Rewind Collective Gavinci. So yeah, it says on the actual website there's 1945 of them or whatever. So obviously everyone's thinking that is the only Gavinci one, but then in the app it says a different story. So is it always going to say that, or will that be changed to be Rewind Collective at some point? Or
I think that one particularly was Gavinci, however you pronounce that, because part of that fundraiser, we raised money for LGBT. I think it was Le Mag Junes was the charity. So that one was specifically Gavinci, and the other one's Gavinci, but done by Rewind Collective, and then the House of Cards are more specifically Rewind Collective. So yeah, if that's what it reflects, then that's correct. If it's not, then we may need to update that. But that first one was Gavinci, and as far as I'm aware and concerned, yeah, the rest were Rewind Collective, more specifically.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Because some people were saying the Pride one is the only one, and I thought it was as well. But there's also there's the other ones, which are the House of Cards ones, which also say Gavinci on it as well, or Gavinci, or whatever it is. So therefore, I think there's some speculation that there's essentially 6,000 of them rather than the 19. Many. But But you know, it's a mute question, I suppose, really in the long run, because they all seem to be gathering quite a bit of speed in the app anyway. Those ones, because they're original ones, obviously, aren't they? So therefore, exactly. Now with the added bit, yeah, I don't think I've got any more real questions for you. I can't see any more that haven't been answered. Essentially, somebody was saying about the hidden, unrevealed feature of Disney pedestals bases that Disney statues stand on. The app says coming soon.
Okay. I think that's a tab for accessories. So yeah, somewhere in looking at your collectibles, there's like a coming soon bit where you could add like stands and plinths and bases and shelves, those kind of things. So if that's what that's referring to, I think that's probably coming soon for all collectibles as opposed to just Disney. And I think it's referring to the accessories whenever they come.
Accessories. Oh right, yeah, we know about them, obviously. Yeah, we saw the Back to the Future one and all that sort of thing, little pedestals thingy. So I guess if it says in the app something about it, then I guess that makes sense then for people. And, thingy. So okay, well, I think we covered pretty much. Well, we covered loads today. So thank you very much for answering all the questions. Sorry, some of them were completely way out of left field and sort of thingy. But hopefully we got some still pending on Star Wars comics. Somebody, I don't know if I've got mine actually. Therefore, let's have a look. I'm just looking to see if there's any other questions in the chat. I can't see any more questions coming in. So if you have super chatted and I haven't answered the question, then feel free to. Where's this? What happened to the reclaimed bottle collectibles after? Yeah, people want to know about the botting of the collectibles and the renting. So maybe we can cover that real quick, and then we'll let Rhys go because he's got other things to be doing. So therefore, so what happened to the reclaimed? Didn't we've covered this in AMAs before anyway? They're basically given like a year to. At
the moment, we have covered this, but at the moment, nothing. Right, those accounts are just permanently disabled or restricted or whatever it happens to be, depending on the offence. We give people a chance to KYC, and we give them a good amount of time. But ultimately, we're sort of waiting, a minimum of 12 months from the time that account is disabled or whatever before any actions are taken. That gives us a lot of headway, a lot of legal clearance there to say that we have made the effort to communicate with this user and determine whether they were or were not cheating the system. So yeah, at the moment, nothing happens. They stay in accounts. Eventually, I think, we'll probably reclaim them and use them for promotions and giveaways, things like that. But that will be down the line. Yeah.
Of course, I think we're gonna go with this final one here, which is the most important one. So therefore, I think most of the other stuff is going to be on AMAs anyway. When's the next AMA, by the way? When's the next one?
We do have one next week. Yeah, we've got one next week, or I'll do one next week with Venkatesh, the CEO of Epico Regal. So we're talking about that Ecomi integration and tie-in. We just released the co-founders video last week, so I'd say we'll probably do another community AMA next week with Alex. Yeah, there should be one on Thursday or Friday.
Awesome. Yeah. Marvelous. Well, thank you very much, Rhys, for joining us. I've really enjoyed our conversation. I've got some questions that I've been niggling at me for a while, and I thought I can actually ask you now, because obviously in the AMAs there's so many people asking questions anyway that I normally don't even bother sort of coming up on the stage to ask them and stuff. And it's just nice to be able to ask you these things face to face. So thank you very much for joining me. I've had fun. Hopefully the VeVe fam out there have had fun as well. And if you didn't get your question answered, then don't forget, you can always go and check out one of the AMAs and all that sort of stuff, because most of the questions that they're asking in the chat, you've pretty much answered in other AMAs anyway, haven't you, really? So therefore it's all been done. But thank you very much for joining us. As always, as Rhys says, and as I say, don't take any of this as financial advice. Nothing we've said today is construed as financial advice. Don't go out there and FOMO into any of the cryptos we talked about or any of that kind of stuff, because crypto can go up, it can make you loads of money, or it can go down and you can completely lose your shirt. But that is essentially crypto. Thank you very much, and I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks very much, everybody. Bye for now. Cheers, Rhys.
See you, mate. Thank you.